rule breaker, but I don't know why they keep having me back. It's my second year. I'm excited to be here. Hello to all of you. It's been quite a journey being here year after year and experience the leaps and bounds that this industry and medium have made. And today brings an even newer era for podcasts, becoming a global phenomenon, shaping pop culture and revolutionizing how we engage with content. The landscape is changing, and it's difficult to find high quality scale, impressions that matter, effectiveness for your buy. And you know, we really believe that this is that space, and everyone this morning has been talking about it, but I'm hoping that if you're looking for that meaningful reach, you love passionate fandoms and the ability to measure and have the tools to find addressable audience, that you'll listen to our presentation today and you'll consider the SiriusXM Podcast Network as the place to be on your buy. But if you're still hesitant, my goal today is to build your confidence. We have a great show, and we live and breathe audio. It's what we think about all day. I've been in this business for 18 years in the audio space. I'm so happy. We're popular. We're finally here. Everyone's talking about audio, and specifically podcasts is really driving a lot of that resurgence in audio. We want to create a future-proofed ecosystem. We understand you need the ad tech to reach your audience at scale. You need the content, but you need that message to show up in a brand safe or suitable environment, and you absolutely need the tools to measure it all. The opportunity with podcasts is significant. And today, it's one of the few ways brands can obtain that net new incremental reach. And we're going to talk about incremental reach a little bit more because it's, I'd say, one of the biggest trends that advertisers are asking of us. Is this truly incremental reach? Some examples may surprise you of how big the reach is. Every week, Audio Chuck Network, the home of Ashley Flowers, reaches more millennial women than the opening of Barbie. Each month, Keith Morrison, who doesn't love Dateline, The Voice, you guys know his voice, reaches 30 million homes, which is more than the Oscars and Golden Globes combined. Meanwhile, it's an election year, and Crooked Media reaches millions more registered voters than all major cable TV news outlets. While others have shifted their strategy, ours has remained the same over time. SiriusXM Media has been consistent with an open ecosystem strategy. We want to build a thriving ecosystem that benefits listeners, advertisers, and creators alike. And we're excited to share some of the top ways we're pushing the industry forward and have differentiated ourselves from everyone else. So number one, our technology. We don't often talk about our technology, but we are so proud, and many people are still surprised when I tell them, all of our technology is built in-house to power what we do in audio. It allows us to be the leaders in programmatic podcast advertising. We've talked a lot about how effortless transactions matter to us, and so we've been really focused on programmatic as a space. We offer better control around ad delivery, dynamic insertion, targeting, all of the measurement solutions that are out there. We're completely agnostic when it comes to measurement solutions. We've also added capabilities like transcription targeting, third-party brand suitability and safety verification, AI-powered synthetic voices for advertisers that really need quick and effortless creative to be in this space. And our innovation doesn't end with our tech. We're coming up with new and simpler ways to buy across our platform. A lot of partners have been up here talking about shows and this show and that show, but we know for buyers to jump into this space, it needs to be easy to buy across multiple shows. So welcome to Curated Collections. We are launching them this year, and we're very excited about the fact that they are off the shelf, ready to buy, give you access to incredible reach, and you can buy within a specific content area, audience, a creator type. So one of the ones we'll talk about today is our sports podcast collection. In fact, who knew sports was going to be the big trend? Everybody's been talking about sports today, and it's exciting, specifically female sports, very exciting. But let's just say today you were buying our NBA collection. You would be hearing from all of the fabulous Knicks fans. Finally, you guys have a team. I'm so excited for you. Is everyone sending thank you notes to Jalen? Like, that's a thing, right? You all decided to do that? If not, you should. And lastly, the true SiriusXM Media advantage isn't just podcasting. It's that we offer the best in satellite and streaming, and a combined buy is a really interesting way to be in this space today. We worked with Wavemaker and DoorDash. And like many advertisers, I mentioned this, incrementality is a big ask. We even worked with Edison early this year to study where are these audiences coming from. Podcast listeners truly are incremental, and they're walking away from TV, they're walking away from social, they're walking away from video to spend time in podcasting. So, in partnership with DoorDash and Wavemaker, we ran a campaign that, of course, they bought streaming. They're a long-standing partner of theirs. But by adding podcasting on, these are the results they saw. 70% of those impressions were incremental to everything they were doing against the other part of their audio buy. Conversions, 82% of them would not have happened if it weren't for the podcast portion of their buy, as measured by Claritas. So plug for our friends at Claritas. They're a great partner in measuring in this space. So how's that for results? I'm not going to stand up here and talk about more case studies, because what really matters are the creators, the storytellers, the people that are a part of our network. I believe we have the best in the business when it comes to them. They give us the gossip, they bring us the laughs, they tell us all about Zendaya and her throuple, which I didn't even know. I'm obviously 100 years old. I didn't know a throuple was even a thing. You know, Kim and her cinched waist was a big talk of the town this week. If you didn't see that, she was wearing that undergarment for like 6 hours. We're not going there. That's not a thing. We're not going to do that, ladies. Stop that. But I'm so excited to announce that Sarah Van Mosel is here, who is a boomerang babe for us. Sarah and I have worked together earlier. She has come back to SiriusXM, to the family, to be our newly appointed SVP of Strategy. Before she walks up here, we're going to introduce you to the slate, and we have a really cool show for you that she is going to interview, one of our favorite shows.
Woo! Hello again. If you know, you know. So I'm so excited to be here today. I've been in the podcasting game for about a decade and a half, and I truly believe SiriusXM Podcast Network is really the place to be. The Podcast Network is the strongest network out there, and it's my sole goal to bring in the shows that pull in listeners and audiences you care about, and the ones that you want to connect with. We have the biggest podcast in the country, Crime Junkie, as well as the entire AudioChuck True Crime Fempire. And of course, the Gen Z whisperer, TikTok's self-appointed big sister, Tinks. So we're continuing to invest in multicultural creators with the goal of engaging people across thought, culture, and interest, creating a place where there's something for everyone across every perspective. This includes the new astrology podcast, Stars and Stars with Issa. I'm an Aries, in case anyone was wondering. And of course, The Read, hosted by Kid Fury and Crystal. This is a must listen for anyone who wants to keep their pulse on the culture. So this leads me, speaking of culture, to our guests today, 3 of the most dynamic hosts who have been in legacy media for years and continue to break down barriers in the podcast space. Please welcome my friends, Sam Sanders, Saeed Jones, and Zach Stafford of the hit podcast Vibe Check. Thank you so much for coming.
Hello, my queens and those who aspire. Hello.
To some, you need no introduction, but I will fill those in who haven't yet been enlightened. Sam Sanders is a journalist and a radio presenter covering Bernie's 2016 campaign at NPR, and he's hosted shows for NPR, and we are so happy that you have this indie project that you're working on, or this amazing show with us now. Saeed Jones, you're an accomplished writer and poet, a Kirkus Prize winner for nonfiction.
Yes.
So we're very excited there. And Zach Stafford, a journalist, columnist at MSNBC, and a Tony Award winner as a co-producer for the hit musical A Strange Loop.
Yes. And former editor-in-chief of The Advocate.
Thank you, Agent Sam.
Yeah.
Professionally gay. Professionally gay.
Your friends don't pitch you, they're not your friends. Today. Always say their names.
Yeah.
So, Zach, let's start off with you. Tell us a little bit about the origin story of the show. What is Vibe Check?
So Vibe Check began as our group chat.
Yeah.
That was really the place where we shared things before we tweeted them or said them to other people. It was our safe space.
A sounding board.
Yeah, and we had just done Sam's last show, and our segment had gone really viral around Andre Leon Talley. And we got in all this email about, oh my God, we've never heard people talk like this on the radio. We've never felt ourselves seen so well in that medium. And then we were talking about it. We're like, wouldn't it be funny if we just made our group chat the show? And then we did it one day because Sam was like, let's get on a Zoom.
Let's do it.
I'm going to record it, which is my nightmare.
He set a timer.
I
Set a timer.
We did 2 segments, Ellen and the First Gay Bachelor. I put it on SoundCloud, and then we sold it.
Yeah, and people were really like, I've never seen SoundCloud so popular for myself personally. And I love SoundCloud, but I was like, wait, people are commenting on my voice. This
I
is
thought
crazy.
SoundCloud was for like bad rappers just trying to sell their mixtapes.
Or producers,
But as it
yeah.
turns out, you can sell a podcast.
Yeah, you can sell a podcast too.
So beyond just being a culture podcast, because of your backgrounds, it really displays a level of discourse that I would call elevated, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what takes place in the discourse.
Yeah,
Sam.
so we're always trying to approach the conversations fully human. We want to sound like real people shooting this stuff around, but we're really informed. We're constantly sharing articles, we're constantly storyboarding. There's script, there's copy, there's research. So we come to these conversations fully informed as 3 journalists. But I think what I love most about the show is that, we've all worked in news. We love news. But over the last few years, the news can be incredibly hard to take in over time. The hard news is really hard. It can make you sad, it can make you vibrate with anger, and a lot of times it's just folks arguing. And our model of conversation is we're gonna give you the news and the information, but it's a totally different model of that conversation. We're modeling new forms of authority and expertise. And my favorite thing about the show is that we argue really well. I love Saeed Jones, but what I love even more than Saeed Jones is arguing with Saeed Jones. Because every debate we have over a Beyonce album or a movie or politics, we each learn something new. Our disagreement is expansive, and you do not hear that in other shows. So this is a show that is just as informative as a newscast, but it goes down easy, and we also can talk about everything else. Everything else.
It's such a joy to have conversations where you can talk with passion about what you care about in good faith, but also trust that you will be transformed by the conversation.
Yes.
And I think particularly in media, you don't see that a lot, right? People often kind of go in with their talking points, they want their sound bites. They're not willing to risk the possibility that someone might change their mind.
Exactly. And we love it when the minds are changed. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
didn't think of that before. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why your audience is so engaged with you, your audience is so sort of feels like your family, because we've experienced it with a couple of fans that have come up to you today, and they're just like, oh, well, hi, I know you.
Yeah.
You
It's
know
never
what I mean?
like, can I say hi? It's like, Sam,
Exactly.
Yeah.
which I love.
Because you sort of show them a way to disagree in a loving way when they're having those conversations, and that's not something that you can really find anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
So it's amazing.
And we also, what we wanted to do with the show is to show people a model of not knowing it all the time.
Yeah.
What's it like to get into a public space and say, I don't know yet, but can I test this with you? Can I figure it out? And a lot of that came from living as journalists in a culture of the rise of the cancel culture, quote unquote cancel culture, and how people became so fearful of saying anything because they thought they had to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we, have all this training from journalism and media and Broadway and all this other stuff, but we aren't right all the time. So we wanted to present that to people.
There's a phrase Zach will use a lot on the show and in life. He says, the goal is not to call you out, the goal is to call you in.
Yes.
How can we have conversations that aren't pushing folks away? Everything else is pushing folks away. The entire vibe of Vibe Check is literally join the group chat.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why it's so refreshing as a listener. It's not like, oh, am I ready for this to listen? I'm just like, oh, this is a nice, comfortable space to be. Speaking about spaces and being in spaces, we talked a little bit before the show about representation being an opportunity for everyone. What does it mean for Vibe Check to exist in this moment in time, right here, right now? Why is it important?
I mean, I think we live in a cultural and political environment where people feel lonely. Even if they do know how they feel about different issues, they feel isolated, they're scared of saying the wrong thing. How do I have this? And it's so tragic because this is the precise moment when we need to be able to have dialogue, where we need to be able to speak across the bridges of our difference. And so, for us, the spirit of our conversations, ultimately, it's about connection, right? Like, we want you to feel more connected to yourself, how you feel, to the people around you, and to your community. And so I just think, when we think about representation, it is an opportunity because there are people on the other side of every conversation we have. And so the more nuances we're able to honor in our conversation, the more people we're able to bring to our table.
Yeah. And we also represent ourselves holistically. I grew up in a time when journalists were the voice of God, and they were the authorities, and it was just the facts. And we are just as smart as those folks, but we share bits of our life. And our fans know about our dogs, and me buying a house last year, because it was a big deal for me, and grief and love and relationships. We talk about it because that's how real people live.
Yeah.
They live holistically, and so the show breathes holistically with our whole lives.
Yeah.
I also think, we're also in this period where, trust is difficult in media and news. Like, a lot of people don't trust news sources. But I think, when your audience understands that you have skin in the game, that the topics we pick, it's not just that it's the big story, it's the big story that we care about. And we're sharing our own lives as well. I think that helps build trust because they understand that we are willing to say it with our chest, whatever we're talking about. We're not just reading the news.
Yeah, and that's so necessary right now because, especially with the rise of AI, people see tweets go viral, like Katy Perry at the Met Gala. She wasn't there. That was fake. People don't know what's real very much anymore.
Even her mom
thought it was real. Could you imagine?
This? Her mom was texting her like, "Oh, you look so great. I didn't think you were going." She was like, "I didn't go, Mom. That's AI."
Yeah. Also proof your moms will lie to you, too. So, people are not, they don't know what's going on, but they do know who they can trust and who they can go to. You all have people you call to be like, "Hey, girl, is this right? What's going on?" And we have built an audience that knows that they can call us at any time and be like, "Hey, girl, is this what's going on?" And we try to answer.
Yeah, and just to wrap it up, why is it important to do a vibe check as a human being with your friends, with your people?
Yeah, the pandemic really did a number on us collectively. I think the way that we relate to other people, I think the amount of time that we interact with other people has shifted and decreased. And I tell folks now when I go out in the world post-pandemic, not fully post, I feel feral. Like, how do I be around people?
Yeah.
And so what I love about Vibe Check is that we model the kinds of conversations that we want to see in the world. We model the kind of conversation that I think brings back some of the hallmarks of good conversation that we might have lost during the pandemic. Love, disagreement, but learning from each other, not thinking you know it all, and laughing a hell of a lot. We laugh so much. Oh my God. Our chats on Vibe Check are the kinds of conversation I want to have with everybody all the time.
Yeah. No, for sure. And if anyone hasn't listened, download it now.
First of all, how dare you?
Download it twice.
Who hasn't listened?
Times. No, you definitely have. It's a must listen. It's on my short list, and you'll not regret it at all. I can't thank you all enough for joining us today.
Thank you all.
And thank you to Lizzie, and thank you to all of you. The future of podcasts is here right now with SiriusXM Media leading the way. Thank you.
Thank you.